You've been here before. That feeling of standing at the edge of something, that quiet hum underneath your ordinary day that tells you, without being able to explain, how that the air is different, that something is about to shift in a way you can't fully prepare for. And the thing about you, Virgo, is that you notice everything. You felt this coming weeks ago, maybe longer, not as a certainty, more like a pressure change. The way the atmosphere feels different before rain, not threatening, just altered, charged with something unnamed. I want to stay here for a second because this is important. You almost talked yourself out of trusting that feeling. I know that because it's what you do, not out of weakness, out of precision. You're someone who demands evidence before you allow yourself to believe something. And hope, real hope, the kind that asks you to lean forward into uncertainty that has always felt slightly dangerous to you because you remember the times you leaned and nothing caught you. So you've been cautious with this particular feeling. You've let yourself notice it without fully claiming it, held it at arm's length, allowed it to exist somewhere peripheral, somewhere deniable, so that if it turned out to be nothing, you wouldn't have lost too much. But it's not nothing. Let me describe what this period has actually looked like for you, because I think you need to see it from the outside for a moment. You wake up, and the first few seconds are fine, neutral, and then awareness settles in, the awareness of everything still unresolved, everything still in motion, everything that hasn't landed yet. And you get up anyway. You make the coffee, or you check your phone, or you start the list of things that need doing. And you move through the day competently, the way you always do, because competence is the thing you can always access, even when everything else feels uncertain. But there are moments, small ones, usually when you're doing something that requires no mental effort, washing something, walking somewhere familiar where the uncertainty surfaces, where you feel the full weight of how long you've been waiting for this particular chapter to resolve itself. And you breathe through it and you keep going. That's not nothing either. That discipline, that daily recommitment to forward motion, even without a guaranteed outcome, that's actually everything. That's the thing that made you ready for what's coming. Wait, actually, I need to go deeper here because I don't think I've reached the real thing yet. There's something specific about the way Virgo waits that I want to name. You don't wait passively. You improve while you wait. You refine. You prepare. You look at the areas of your life that still have gaps, and you work on them not because you're not enough as you are, but because the act of improvement gives you something to do with the anxiety of not knowing. It converts the nervous energy into something useful. And on the surface, that looks like productivity. People around you see someone who is always working on something, always developing, always moving. What they don't see is that underneath all of that motion, you've been holding your breath. Not dramatically, just a slight shallowness to the breathing, a slight tension across the shoulders that you've carried so long you've stopped registering it as tension. It's just become your baseline. The background hum of someone who hasn't fully exhaled because they're not sure it's safe to yet. That's the thing I keep coming back to. The exhale is coming. And I want to be specific about that because I know how easily you dismiss things that sound like generic reassurance. This isn't me telling you everything will be fine because that's what readings are supposed to say. This is me describing something I keep finding when I sit with your energy right now, a quality of resolution, of things that have been suspended finally finding their level. Something that has been held up, held in, held back is about to release. There's an image that won't leave me alone, and I want to share it. Imagine a door, old one, the kind with weight to it, the kind that requires intention to open, not a light modern door that swings with a breath. This one, you have to choose. You have to put your hand on it and mean it. You've been standing in front of that door for a while now. And the interesting thing, the thing I wasn't expecting, is that you've already put your hand on it. You did that a while ago. The decision was made internally, even if externally everything still looks the same, even if the circumstances haven't visibly shifted yet. You decided, and that decision, that interior commitment that nobody else witnessed, that private moment where you chose, that's what set this in motion. That's what made tomorrow possible. No, hold on. It's not just tomorrow. That's the wrong frame. What's happening isn't a single event that arrives tomorrow and changes everything in one dramatic moment. It's more like tomorrow is the day you finally see clearly what has already been building. The shift doesn't happen tomorrow. The recognition of the shift happens tomorrow. And for you, Virgo, recognition is everything because you can be standing in the middle of something significant and still not fully inhabit it until your mind has processed it completely, until you've turned it over enough times to trust it. Tomorrow is the turning point in the processing, the moment where the weight of evidence finally tips past what your caution can argue against. There's something about a specific relationship dynamic that keeps coming through. I don't think that's what this is. Let me start again. What I'm getting isn't just about a person necessarily, though a person may be involved. It's more about a particular kind of recognition, being seen in a specific context, by specific eyes, in a way that changes how you see yourself. Because here's what I keep finding when I sit with Virgo energy right now. You've been operating with an outdated version of yourself, not in a negative way, in the way that growth happens faster than self-perception catches up. You've changed quietly, without ceremony, without a dramatic before and after. You've shed something that used to define you, and you haven't fully registered the shedding yet, but someone else has. There's a person in your orbit or moving into your orbit who is responding to the new version, who sees what you've become rather than what you were. And the disorienting, beautiful thing about that is that they're going to show you yourself through their response to you. The way they engage with you, the things they notice, the things they respond to. It's going to be like looking in a mirror and seeing someone slightly different than the person you expected, slightly more capable, slightly more whole, slightly more arrived than you knew you were. The more I sit with this, the more I keep coming back to something practical. And I know Virgo needs practical. There's an opportunity, a real, tangible, external opportunity, not just an emotional shift, not just a relationship development, though those may be part of it. Something in the material world, something that has been in motion behind the scenes, developing without your full visibility, that is about to become visible. It wouldn't surprise me if this comes through a conversation, a specific exchange, maybe one you've been anticipating, maybe one that arrives without warning where something is offered to you, or confirmed, or decided. And the thing I want to say about that moment when it arrives is don't minimize it in real time. Don't immediately start cataloging the ways it might not work out, or the conditions that need to be met, or the reasons to be cautious. I know that's your instinct. I know that's the way your mind protects you. But this one deserves your full yes before your mind starts editing. Actually, wait. I'm getting something more specific, and I want to try to describe it. It's not just an opportunity being offered, it's a confirmation. Something you wanted but had stopped actively wanting because the wanting was becoming painful. Something you filed under probably not to protect yourself from the continued disappointment of hoping. That thing, the one you filed away quietly, it's being returned to you. I want to talk about what Virgo specifically has been through to get to this moment because I think it matters. I think you need to hear it named. You carried something that wasn't yours to carry, not for a day, not for a week, for long enough that you started to believe the weight was just part of your nature, that you were someone who struggled, that certain things were harder for you than for other people. And you built your identity quietly around navigating that difficulty, not complaining about it, not making it everyone else's problem, just incorporating it into your understanding of what your life was. And you became extraordinary at it, at carrying, at managing, at making the difficult look routine. But the difficulty was never who you are, it was what you were going through. And there's a version of your life on the other side of this moment that doesn't require that kind of sustained management, that doesn't ask you to be quite so disciplined in your endurance. That actually gives you something to work with instead of just something to get through. That version is not a fantasy. It's not the naive optimism of someone who doesn't understand how hard things can be. It's the next logical development of everything you've been building through the difficulty. You earned it through attention, through precision, through the specific kind of Virgo devotion that shows up and does the work even when the work feels invisible. There's a softness I want to leave you with because I think sometimes Virgo needs permission to be soft, permission to want things fully without immediately qualifying the wanting, permission to believe that good things can arrive not as a result of more effort, more preparation, more perfecting, but simply because it's time, it's time. Not because you finally did enough, not because you finally fixed the last thing that needed fixing, but because there's a natural rhythm to things and your season has arrived. The way spring arrives, not as a reward for winter's patience, but as the next inevitable thing. You are someone whose attention to detail, whose care, whose quietly extraordinary standards have been building something real, something that has roots now, something that cannot be easily undone. Tomorrow you begin to see the shape of it. Let yourself see it clearly, without immediately looking for the flaw, without immediately assessing the risk. Just for a moment, let yourself see what you've built and what's arriving and let it be good. You've earned the right to let it be good. If something in this landed, if a moment felt true in a way that surprised you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Tell me what resonated, even one sentence. It matters more than you know.